All right, let's dive in. So let's start with the big picture. Last 3 to 5 years, what's really changed in the world of performance marketing, measuring outcomes, effectiveness, and so on and so forth? The big picture, what's different?
I think that marketers have realized that we really are facing this privacy, as George said, market force that is here to stay. And I think the concept of measuring for true incrementality, I think both of those things over the last 3 to 5 years have hit sort of critical mass, and the need for marketers to really own their measurement ecosystem has become very clear.
And Laurie, briefly, tell us a bit about your role, because you have a very unique perspective, I think, on a lot of these issues, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I lead analytics and data science for PMG. We are a full funnel digital media agency. And prior to that, I was on the brand side. So I worked at Sephora and I worked at Gap Inc. So retailers in the US. And so I have sort of the perspective of brand side, agency side, and really helping to advance those measurement roadmaps.
And the retail segment is very performance driven, obviously.
Very roots in performance, but the need to go up funnel has been recently very clear.
Cool. Adolfo, what do you look after at TikTok?
Adolfo Fernandez here. Great to meet you all. I'm global head of performance solutions and operations at TikTok. So you can think of me as the other side of the coin of George.
Right.
So measurement and performance all coming together.
I'm struggling to hold that thought in my head, but we'll come back to it. Give us your sense then of what's changed in the last 3 to 5 years.
Plus one to what you just said. I think that the common denominator is the change in consumer behavior. I think that George touched base on it. Marketing has not fundamentally changed over the last 20, 30 years. It's all about the same. It's about connecting with the audience and driving performance for advertisers. But consumer behavior has dramatically changed over the last 5, 10 years, I want to say. I think that the lines are becoming a little bit more blurry between the funnel, so from awareness to consideration to actually making the purchase. Actually, I have a question for the room. How many of you have bought anything on TikTok or through TikTok, or have been influenced by anything that you have seen on TikTok?
Found it on TikTok, that's right.
61% of people actually end up purchasing anything when they see content on TikTok. But 79% of those conversions are not attributed by traditional media models.
Wow.
So I think that that's creating a huge challenge for advertisers to really understand what is the value that platforms like TikTok that are video-based are actually driving for them and for their marketing efforts.
I do want to touch on that because I think there's something really important and interesting in that market landscape question. So rewind 40 years ago when Lisa Giacausa from Spark Foundry was here earlier saying, look, 40 years ago, I basically had a few channels, some print, maybe radio, but that was kind of it. And it was actually pretty dull, but it was much easier. I didn't have that much media to measure. Today, good news, we've got this explosion of competition and innovation. We've got huge platforms. We were hearing just from United Airlines launching their new captive audience network, slightly scary concept. But all of this stuff creates huge opportunity, but it's messy. It's really messy. How do we as marketeers thread the needle? I mean, and join all that stuff up? Or are we just stuck with a world of irreconcilable platforms and publishers, and actually it's very hard to understand the big picture?
It's our job to try to illuminate that
Right.
big picture, but I think you're absolutely right. And to your point of consumer behavior continually evolving, the number of touch points has grown exponentially. Devices have proliferated. Media platforms have really expanded, and so the number of places that we are putting advertising in front of eyeballs has really gotten a lot more complex.
Yeah.
I think to get that big picture, marketers have to triangulate. They have to triangulate across multiple methodologies. And so as George said, that measurement has to meet a very specific question, and it has to be designed strategically to answer that question. I think he called it utility. But it is about triangulation. I think it is, it's overly simplistic now to rely on one measurement methodology.
I think that adding on that, George touched base on full funnel. You talk about United. We had some interesting conversations these last couple of days here at Cannes. I think that there is a common denominator that I'm hearing over and over which is that the lines between, it's not just consumer behavior, the lines between branding and performance
Right.
are blending. Actually, we had our marquee product event in New York 3 weeks ago, where we presented a product called Unify Lift. And basically, the reason why we created Unify Lift, by the way, for context, my role is to hearing marketers like you. I spend all day long talking with marketers. I was telling a couple of friends before, I literally flew from Tokyo last week. And the reality is that wherever you go in the world, I'm hearing the same thing. And I've been like 15 years, 20 years in the industry. The lines between branding and performance are blending. Marketers don't think about like branding and think about performance. Think about like how do we drive outcomes for them. So with that context in mind, a couple of weeks ago in New York, we announced something called Unify Lift, which basically is how we combine conversion lift studies and brand lift studies to actually put those insights across the funnel to marketers. To your point, we have to make it easy and digestible for marketers. We have a slide internally in the company, which is you don't need a PhD to do measurement. We really want to democratize the access to these advanced measurement solutions and put them in the hands of marketers across the world.
So final quick question then on the kind of contextual piece, or context of this discussion. As performance marketeers, tell me about the reality of signal loss. And again, I feel we're sometimes slightly schizophrenic about this. On the one hand, we have lots of talk about robust identity solutions and first-party data. On the other hand, we get concerned about signal loss. And I sometimes find it hard to square the circle between those two things. How do you think about it as a state-of-the-art performance marketeer?
I think we are facing certain types of signal loss. And I think the old way of doing, cookie-based attribution, even some forms of multi-touch attribution where you can resolve every single impression to an identifier, I think those are going away. We're all sort of waiting with bated breath. But I think to your point, we have other signal that we have prioritized and invested in. So first-party signal is alive and well, and so many of our brand partners have been investing heavily there. So that's going to be an important lever for measurement. And I think the platforms have incredible, rich signal that we can leverage and are building tools, as you just said, to democratize good, solid measurement.
Is the elephant in the room. I think that I'm very confident with all the work that we have been doing with advertisers to set those foundations. Investing in solutions around like machine learning attribution, investing in solutions like enhanced API to really set the foundations for those advertisers. I think that there is what the platforms can do and what we are doing with advertisers. There is the actions that advertisers can do. First-party signal is going to be critical. It's not going to be a challenge. It's going to be an opportunity for them to actually connect with their audiences. The second point is around like building authentication strategies in their website. This may be very tactical, but think about like those connections, those logins that you can actually build on your sites or on your apps to actually connect and extract more information about your users, your consumers, and really understand them better. And the elephant in the room is offline conversions. I always put the same example. I'm a big reader, and there is a trend in TikTok called Book Talk. I don't know how many of you have heard of it. Book Talk basically gathers all the new trends in books, what is hottest in the in the reading industry. And the reality is that I never buy a book online. I travel quite a lot for business, and I always buy the books in a very cute store that we have in San Francisco International Airport, that they have a full shelf dedicated to Book Talk. How do you capture as a marketer? How do you capture as a marketer all those conversions that happen online, that happen offline? So I think that those three actions that I mentioned, like really investing in first-party data, really investing in authentication strategies and offline conversions and passing back those data connections to platforms is going to be critical to mitigate signal loss.
I mean, it's a great point, which sort of leads us on to the next point. If I'm a marketer thinking about rebuilding my performance-based team, I want to think again about how we're going to measure performance and bring brand and performance together. What today does a state-of-the-art marketing function look like that's really geared up to today's marketing landscape? We heard a bit about the team that TikTok has internally. How does your team operate? What are the kind of disciplines you have to bring together?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a very similar structure to
Right.
George's team, focused on analytics. So first of all, got to get all of that data into one place. And to his point, leveraging machine learning. We have a proprietary marketing technology platform at PMG called Alley, which really helps centralize all of that data and ensure that it's clean, rationalized, and connected. But then it requires more data scientists than we've ever,
Right.
we're hiring, everyone's hiring for data science practice. And then I think really important to have what I would call measurement practitioners who are helping brands and customers go on that journey that we've all described, because it's not enough to have the most robust models in the world. You have to actually connect them to the questions and the decisions being made.
I got something as an internal user and consumer of George's team. In the context of AI, we talk a lot about prompt engineers, right? Asking the right questions.
Right.
The reason why I appreciate the measurement team at TikTok is because they ask the right questions. We need marketers. We need marketers in measurement. We need marketers in marketing science. They need to understand the market. They need to understand the industry and the verticals that we are focusing on to really ask good questions and really shape the products and really shape the strategies that we have. I think that that's the common denominator, regardless of the titles, regardless of the organizational structures.
Very well
asking
said.
good questions.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that, relating to your point that springs to mind is that this is a team-based game. This is going to be a complex mix of different measurement vendors. We're going to be using a basket of measures, different data sources, different platforms, different retail outlets, whatever, depending on campaign. And the trick of doing your job as well is to make sure that you can string all that together and have those effective partnerships, right?
I can talk from TikTok or platform perspective, right? It's interesting when you look at the performance business and how we are structured and what we focus on. For me, performance is, first of all, a team sport that heavily depends on some organizations. The first one is measurement.
Right.
The second one is creative. And the third one is data connections. Those are the horizontals that really power
That's a great
the
way to think about it.
performance and the success of our performance solutions. An organization like mine, at the end of the day, we shape products that we put in the hands of advertisers to drive business outcomes, but the success actually hinges on those three foundational verticals, three foundational horizontal powerhouses that need to do well in order for achieve good performance.
Presumably the other big trend we have to start talking about is optimization to hit our KPIs and goals, but in real time using AI tools. Give us a sense again of the state of the art. Where have we got to on that front?
It's a great question. I think TikTok has been a great partner to help advance to the point we were making earlier, first-party data signals, feeding that algorithm and actually informing what is truly driving performance for a specific audience, a specific campaign, et cetera. I think that's going to continue to expand across many platforms and publishers. I also think that we are close to those sort of true incrementality signals getting into a real-time optimization engine. And that's something that, even unified Lyft is going to be able to bring that closer to the point of optimization.
Automation. I think that at the end of the day, to my point on asking good questions, we need advertisers to focus on what they do best.
Right.
Focus on their consumers, focus on their products. How can we operationalize, can we reduce all the work that they have to be doing, optimizing campaigns, looking at measurement KPIs? How can we automate all those processes and keep them very simple for them? So I think that automation is not the future, is already the present, and something that not just TikTok, but the industry is heavily investing on.
I do think we're going to start drawing more analogies with financial markets. We're going to be talking about futures and derivatives and automation and algorithms responding to certain signals and automating certain buys and sells. It's going to be fascinating, possibly slightly scary from a regulatory point of view, but fascinating.
I love that you said that. Actually, at PMG, we've had more than one client call our media managers day traders.
Right.
Because they truly are sort of optimizing to the next best impression and trying to, drive the most performance at the lowest cost. So I think that's a really interesting analogy.
So The other question I have, in this new world of AI-driven, data-rich optimization around performance goals, who's responsible for what when it comes to measuring effectiveness?
Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I think that it's a team effort, right? At the end of the day,
Doesn't someone need to be accountable?
I think that it's shared accountability.
Shared accountability.
It's
Okay.
a shared accountability. And I think that when I look at advertisers, regardless the vertical, regardless the industry, that do very well in performance, are the advertisers that collaborate very well with their agencies, that they collaborate very well with the platform, and they have like honest and open conversations, and they align on clear KPIs. I think that the key is aligning on clear KPIs and aligning on clear principles. And that should be set from the start. And in terms of accountability, that will be shared.
I totally agree that it's a team sport. I do think that there are roles that sort of platforms, agencies, brands are sort of better positioned to own. So, for example, I do believe many enterprise brands feel the need now more than ever to own that measurement framework, to even own their maybe I think George called it comparable measurement approach, so something like a media mix model or an MMM that's augmented by testing. But I think agencies and platforms, we are hands on keyboard. We are automating, to your point, and I think we are in a better position to manage the large data connections, the pipes, for example, in our platform Alley Data, we really manage those pipes for customers. And I think we're better positioned in many cases to run rapid experimentation. So I think we have sort of different strengths.
So the other organizations obviously going through their own process of transformation are the marketeers, the brands. And when we move from a world of stochastic campaign measure, et cetera, the standard thing, to a world of real-time AI-driven optimization, et cetera, brands are going to have to go through their own marketing transformation. What's the role of the agency in supporting that?
It's a great question. I think we have to help our brands, well, one, go on that journey to build their long-term measurement roadmap, but also we need to enable it and empower it every day through a rigorous test and learn roadmap. And so I think we are testing levers, audiences, creatives, optimization signals, and that's a never-ending learning agenda and process, and that's what we view our role as.
I mean, do you have clients and you arrive at the beginning of a relationship and they're just not set up in the right way in terms of budgets, in terms of internal teams, in terms of how the CMO talks to the CFO, to have the right kind of dialogue to support this kind of activity?
Absolutely. You bring up the partnership with finance. I think all of this measurement, chances are the CFO may not have TikTok on their phone, right? They need to understand how these platforms are impacting the end consumers, and then translate that into a language that the business can understand through good measurement.
You are mentioning
maybe they do. Probably more likely that
sometimes.
They
do. You mentioned a very good point here, which is the internal education.
Yeah.
When we talk with partners, when we talk with agencies, when we talk with our customers, something that we do is not just spend time explaining them and giving them the playbook and the framework, but teaching them as well on how to elevate this in the entire organization.
Right.
I always think that when we talk about performance and advertising in general, we usually look at just the marketing organization. Advertising, again, is a team sport within the company.
Right.
How do we bring the CFOs on board? How do we bring the CEOs on board? How do they look about the overall business? To your question earlier around elevating and focusing on business outcomes, you need that C-suite fully on board and really understanding the goals that they have as companies and what we can contribute to as a platform.
And I think that's where we still have work to do. There are still organizations that see advertising and marketing not as a driver of growth and profitability, but as a cost center. And when times are hard, we cut costs, and that may not always be the most helpful thing to do, as we know. So final quick question, as we're running short of time. This has been fascinating. If there's one big challenge from a measurement and marketing effectiveness point of view that we need to grapple in what's left of the 2020s, what would you like to see the industry coming together to try and solve for? What's the thing that day-to-day still makes life hard for you and your clients that you think we can solve?
I think that cleaning up data is a problem that AI will really just help us in leaps and bounds so that we can speed up good measurement. I think that's the biggest change that I would like to see. We don't want perfect to be the enemy of good in our measurement ecosystems, but I think we've got a lot of work to do to connect, to your point earlier, the good measurement frameworks that we have and all of those robust methodologies with real-time optimization that will be happening.
Foundations. When we talk in this context, we talk about very advanced measurement solutions.
Right.
That's not the reality of the 80% of the market. An obsession of mine is how do we democratize this access to advanced measurement solutions and we put them in the hands of every single advertiser, SMBs, DTC brands. Setting the foundations is going to be critical.
Adolphe and Laurie, that's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for both of you.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
having us.